Welcome to lesson 136 or 2136, solve quadratic functions by factoring. All right, here's our objective. Here's some vocabulary. So what I do want to highlight here is the zero product property. So we're going to set these things equal to zero and then solve each factor individually. So if you've been following along with this channel, or if I move too fast, I did a whole series on factoring trinomials. So please go back and watch some of those and come back to this one if I move a little too quickly or something like that. All right, so basically what we did when we learned how to factor trinomials and did that practice was to get us to here. So this red curve is a parabola. That's the shape of the graph of a quadratic equation. And what we're looking for are the roots or the zeros. So the blue dots here tell us where the parabola crosses the x-axis or the x-intercepts. Okay, so now we remember factoring, and the first thing we're going to do is set this one equal to 0. So this is a special case trinomial where you have x minus 5, x minus 5. Now, if we set this equal to 0, or x minus 5 squared, if we set this equal to 0, the first thing we're going to do is take the square root of both sides, and you'll have x minus 5 equal to 0. Add 5 to both sides. So x equals 5. And what does this mean? This x equaling 5 tells us that this parabola only touches the x-axis in one spot. So it will sit on the x-axis at 5. And if I put this in a graphing calculator, this is what the graph of it will look like. So let's look at our second example. So let's move the 36 to the other side so we can have it equal to 0, because when we solve these, it must be equal to 0 to make the zero product property work. And then we know this is a special case trinomial, special case, not trinomial, but polynomial, binomial. So you have x plus 6 times x minus 6. And now when you get two factors, you set one of them equal to 0 and the other equal to 0. So x is going to be negative 6 and x is also going to be 6. So what does that mean? For our graph, it's going to go through at plus 6 and through at negative 6. And so our parabola is going to look like that for if this equation was y equals x squared minus 36. That's what the graph of it would look like. Okay, so first things first, we have to move this in standard form. So the 11x part is going to be moved over. So we have 2x squared minus 11x plus 14. And so we're going to have 2x, let's try plus 7, and then x minus 2. And let's see what happens. 7x minus 4x is going to give us 3x. Let's try minus 7 here and 2 here. 2x minus 7x is going to give us, oh wait, we need two negatives. What am I doing? 14x plus 2x is 12x. Sometimes this is a little bit of trial and effort, but I forgot my signs. This sign is negative in the middle, and this sign is positive, which means I need two negatives. So let's try 7 and 2. 7x and 4x is 11x. All right, 2x squared minus 4x minus 7x plus 14. Yeah, that gives us, okay. So now, we set both of these equal to 0. 2x minus 7 equal to 0. Gives us 2x equal to 14. Divide by 2, x equal, where did I get 14 from? 2x equal to 7. divide by 2 on both sides. I added 7 on both sides, then I divide by 2, and I get x equals 7 halves, or x equals 3 and 1 half. And now I'll set the other factor, x minus 2 equal to 0. That gives x equals 2. So now what does this mean? Our parabola is going to be at 2. And if this is 3 and this is 4, it's going to be right here at 3.5. So our parabola is going to look something like that. Two. Okay, let's look at our next example. So here, if we have the square root of 3x minus 2 on this problem, what you have to do is square both sides of the equation. So when you square square root, you just get what's under the square root, and that will give us x squared. And now we have to put this in the standard form. So I'll move the negative x over, x squared plus 3x minus 2 equal to 0. And then I can always multiply both sides by -1. X squared minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. And they get x minus 2, x minus 1. So if I set x minus 2 equal to 0, I get x equals 2. If I set x minus 1 equal to 0, I get x equals 1. And what does that mean? That means that the parabola will go through 1 and 2, and it will look something like that. Okay, so those were our examples. Upcoming in the next couple of slides are practice problems for you to try them, and I will see you at the end of the video for a recap. Okay, this is a perfect square trinomial with x plus 8, x plus 8, set it equal to 0. That's x plus 8 quantity squared equals 0. If I take the square root of both sides, I get x plus 8 equal to 0. And then x minus 8, x equals negative 8, because I had to subtract 8 from both sides. And what does that mean? That means that the parabola sits at negative 8, and it only touches the x-axis in one spot. Here's a perfect square binomial. We're going to set equal to 0. A difference of squares, not a perfect square trinomial, a difference of squares. X plus 4, x minus 4 equal to 0. We have two factors. X plus 4 equal to 0. X equals negative 4. X minus 4 equal to 0. X equals 4 after adding 4 on both sides and subtracting 4 on both sides. And what does this give us? It gives us negative 4 and positive 4, and your parabola is going to be like that. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so we can see 4, 4, and 256. So let's factor out of 4. 64 divided by 4 is 116. 256 divided by 4, 6. 16, 64 equals 0. If we divide everything by 4, we're just left with x squared plus 16x plus 64 equals to 0. Because this 4 is being multiplied to that quantity, if we divide it out, it goes away. And then 0 divided by 4 is 0. Anything divided by 0 divided by any number will give you 0. And so now, what do we have here? We have the same perfect square trinomial that we saw before. Since it's the same, we'll just say x plus 8 equals 0, and then x equals negative 8. And then the parabola will be the same as before. It touches the x-axis in one spot at negative 8. And then for the last one, here we go. This one is a square root problem. So the first thing you have to do is get rid of the square root. The opposite of the square root is squaring. So x squared equals x plus 6. And then we move everything over. And then that should be what? X minus 3, x plus 2. X minus 3 equals 0, gives us x equals 3. X plus 2 equals 0, gives us x minus equals negative 2. And what we have here is negative 2, and then 3, and then there you go. And that's what your parabola will look like. So I went through solving equations very quickly because I know that if you have been watching this channel, you have seen me solve equations. I did about 20 or 30 videos on solving all kinds of different equations. And if you haven't seen that, please go back and watch some of the solving equations videos. If you still are having trouble factoring, go back and watch the factoring videos. But the only way you're definitely going to get anything out of it is by practicing. You have to practice. So if you did not do enough practice, go back and do more problems. There's nothing that can substitute for you doing problems. And if you did 20 problems, maybe 20 isn't enough. Maybe you need to do 100. You just keep doing problems until you get it, until you can see the patterns, and you will get it. If you keep doing the thing long enough, you will pick up on it. So don't feel like if you do the things a couple of times and you get somewhat good at it, that you got it, because I seen this sign somewhere and it makes total sense. The difference between an amateur and a professional is that an amateur will practice until they get it right. And a professional will practice until they can't do it wrong. So if you want to get good at doing math, you're going to practice until you can't, until you don't make many mistakes. So that's just some food for thought. And thank you for watching. And I hope to see you on the next video.